I'm not going to lie, when eBay starts to do its magic, it's very, very easy to conclude that eBay is dead, And what do I mean by eBay doing its magic? You post things on the platform, for one reason or the other, they do not sell, even though you imagine that the item that you have is an item that should naturally, sell very quickly. From nowhere, things just get stuck. Nothing is selling. People don't even, see your listings, because if you list an item on eBay, you actually have a way of seeing how many people have visited your offer. You see that people are not clicking on the item. You are getting, after like 3 or 4 days, just like 3 views, which is, a very clear indication that things are not just working. All right. This was exactly what happened to me. And if it happens to you, you might be thinking, this platform is dead. Nothing's going to sell here anymore. And if you are not the type that have, spent a long time with this platform called eBay, you might just conclude that, what, it makes no sense. I'm going to try to go and look for something else to do. There's nothing working on this platform. eBay is dead. And this is the reason why whenever I check on YouTube, there's just going to be that one person, complaining and saying that, look, these things don't sell. The competition is too high. Each time I list an item, it ends up on the 20th page. Nobody sees my listings. Of course, eBay can actually do better in giving us, some updates about what exactly the situation is. If there's going to be, a downtime in the system, we don't get this kind of feedback. And this is the reason why, if somebody comes on the platform, especially at a time where there's a downtime, you list items, it doesn't sell, nobody's clicking on it, and it's 1 week, it's 2 weeks. I mean, there's nothing that's going to encourage you to go ahead to keep, doing this business, except for videos like this. This actually happened to me just a few weeks ago, precisely on the 18th, of June. Guys, things literally just stopped. This was the last PC that was sold on the 18th of June. And from nowhere, there was a serious, glitch. Nothing was selling. I wouldn't know what was going on. All my listings were pretty much the same. As a matter of fact, I was even adding new listings to my shop. Guys, nothing was actually selling. Of course, give and take, I was selling some small items like this. But if you flip pieces for profit, the main thing you want to be seeing flipping is where the money is, which is the computers, the laptops, the monitors. That's exactly where the money is. Of course, I'm grateful for the small items that says, but whenever I see that the main items like, big PCs for decent prices are just sitting there, nobody's clicking on it, I was also thinking exactly what you are probably thinking right now, that this platform is dead. But guys, I'm here to tell you that, look, eBay is what it is. They haven't disappointed me for a very, very long time. So I kept, trying to see where could this problem be lying. You see, I did everything in the books, deleted my offers, relisted them, changed titles and all that stuff. Guys, there was absolutely nothing I did that just made things to work, because when the system is glitching, most times it's not coming from us sellers. It's coming from the other side, perhaps from the eBay side of things. And because we do not know what's going on, we just sometimes question the fact that perhaps our items are not being, needed. Nobody wants our item, or perhaps our items are too expensive. But then, because I have been on this platform, long enough, I understand when things are glitching and when things are not glitching. How do I pretty much tell that things are, no glitching? When I see a computer that normally should sell, in 2 or 3 days, not selling for a week, I can tell you that, look, there is a problem with the system. But then, like I said, eBay will not cease to disappoint. Of course, now they have showed that, look, they are back. They are back with a bang, and they still remain, the king of this, refurbished PC street. They remain the king of the used market. Doesn't matter what anybody tries to tell you. If you are not listing your items on eBay, of course, you might be making profit wherever you are listing them, but I can tell you for free that you are definitely leaving a lot of money on the table, because the traffic is right here. If you are not selling here, guys, you are leaving money on the table. Guys, I have been trying to make videos about these pieces, but sometimes it just doesn't work, because if you can relate, if you are somebody that has a lot going on in life, you are a husband, you have kids, you possibly have jobs, you have a business, and you're trying to make content on the side, especially now that it's summer, it's so hot. Guys, you're going to be constantly, struggling with one thing. You're going to be struggling with time. And that has been my biggest challenge in the past few weeks. Sometimes I want to sit here, like yesterday, for example. I said to myself, there's no amount of pressure I'm going to have that will prevent me from making a YouTube video when I get to the warehouse. But then when I came to the warehouse, I had 4 computers to ship out. The time was so limited. I pretty much couldn't just, bring out my camera. It was so hot. Everything was just working against, making the videos. I wanted to tell you guys, share you the behind the scenes of what I've sold, and guys, it has been beautiful. eBay just surprised me, and they have pretty much opened the floodgates of sales. I can tell you, judging for the category in which I sell, because I sell used electronics, I sell basically computers, laptops, monitors and stuff like that. They have pretty much opened the floodgates, and sales have just been pouring in the last 4, 5, 6 days. It's been crazy, guys. I have been trying to work myself out just to make sure that the customers don't get disappointed, because this is exactly what we signed for. We signed that, look, whenever somebody comes to our shop and buys something, we are going to do our part, to make sure that that item gets shipped out. It doesn't matter how busy we are. It doesn't matter whatever or what other commitment we have put our hands. The idea is when somebody comes to my shop and buys something, I want to make sure I send it out. This was the reason why yesterday's video, it was kind of a little bit painful, because there was a lot of action going on. Things were broken. Some PC, for no reason, for one reason or the other, they just didn't want to leave the warehouse. I needed to physically bundle this piece into the carton and say, look, you have been sitting here long enough. It's time for you to go to your new home. And it was a lot. In between, it wasn't just, it wasn't just, comfortable for me to bring out my camera, to record these videos. Sometimes I even ask myself, because these videos, they are pretty much not getting the views that they should normally get. Of course, I understand that this is an algorithm game, YouTube being what it is, doing whatever it knows how to do best. For one reason or the other, these videos don't just get pushed to the right audience. I've done everything I literally can do. But then one thing I can still do is to ask you guys, if you sell on eBay, you sell wherever you sell on, and flipping items for profit, especially electronics, electronics is a very broad category. Talking about if you enjoy everything around flipping, electronics for profit, be it computers, be it laptops, be it monitors, go ahead, do your boy a favor, click on the like button, comment on the video so that the YouTube algorithm sees it that, look, people are interested in these videos, and push it to similar people. This is all I ask. But in the meantime, until the algorithm fixes itself, I'm going to continue to make these videos, show you guys what is actually possible if you put in, the right amount of work that you should put in. Okay, so that being said, guys, like I said, things have been really, really crazy. Fujitsu Esprimo D55Cs sold for 249 euros. That was on the 28th of June. And the sales has just kept pouring in. The Lenovo ThinkCentre M700 sold for 336 euros, including shipping. These have all been shipped out. Some of them have been delivered, and possibly some of them are still very much in transit. But then another Lenovo M700 sold for 138 euros. A HP EliteDesk 800 G5. This was one very decent transaction, because I got about 6 pieces of these PCs, and these PCs, for one reason or the other, I just had the PC with the best configuration. And whenever that happens, you always have this chance to, smile, because understand that when people go about searching for items to buy on eBay, they want to check, they want to see which item has the best processor, which item has the best RAM, the best SSD, and possibly the best price. And this was exactly what this HP EliteDesk 800 G5 was ticking all these points. It was the best processor in the market, the best RAM. I typically tend to list my items as variations, so buyers have the possibility to choose whatever they want to choose. And this PC, sold for 264.91 euro, and this wasn't all. It just kept selling. Somebody even bought, 2 pieces of it for 474 euro and some change. That wasn't it. And somebody else went ahead again and bought for 222 euros, 10 cents. It just kept pouring in. And this is exactly what happens if you have been studying the market so well and you see a little bit of a glitch, which is nobody has offered a particular PC that the market wants. All you have to do is to go ahead, quickly fill in that gap, And guys, it's going to sell. Your items are going to sell. This is presupposing that eBay is not glitching. You see a particular category, you realize that from your research, of course, and from prior experience, you realize that this item sells, and on a given day or a given week, the item is not just available on the platform. You can quickly source for that item, bring it to the platform, list it, and eBay will not cease to disappoint. They're going to do their magic. They're going to drive traffic to that listing, and it is going to sell. This was exactly what happened there, and they just kept selling. Fujitsu Celsius W530. This was one PC I've had for quite a while. Sorry, guys, it appears my stool is kind of squeaky in case you can hear the noise, but I'll try to remove it, while editing the video. The Fujitsu Celsius W530 was one PC I have had for a very long time in this warehouse. Long time in this case will mean, about 2 months, 2.5 months. I wouldn't know why for one reason or the other. But one thing I imagined was that I was just so lazy to make, a more decent picture of this listing. If you take a look at this picture right here, it's pretty much not the kind of picture I would have loved to have. It's just a picture showing the inside view of the PC, not necessarily showing, the different size. But then I just kept using that picture for one. This is the only time I have an offer with this kind of picture, but I just didn't want to change it. Wouldn't know why, but in any case, this is something I need to fix this week. All right. Sold for 308 euros. And I can tell you now that this PC has been shipped out. It's not been delivered. And then there was another sale, a HP EliteDesk 705, G3 Micro Tower PC. This was one PC that at the end of the day, I think I sold about 25 pieces of this PC. This was just one of the few ones that were left. But luckily, somebody came around and bought it for 175 euros and some change. This also was the HP EliteDesk G5, mini PC that I talked about. And then the Lenovo also said, no, we have been here. We will also not disappoint. We are ready to go. Everything has been checked. Please, we want a new home. Of course, went on fire. This PC kept selling. This sold for 184 euros and some change. You see, if you understand what's going on, I keep saying and some change because a few weeks ago, I did change, my pricing strategy. And this is the new strategy I'm using right now. Kind of not just listing items at a round figure of like 180 euros. So you'll be seeing things like 184 euros, 43 cents, 157 euros, 99 cents. This is a strategy that I developed for myself. There's just a lot going on behind the scene, but I'm just testing these things and hopefully this is the direction I'm going to be going. So this Lenovo ThinkCentre M700 sold again, 157 euros, 99 cents. And this Lenovo ThinkCentre M720Q, this is a bad boy PC, guys. I can tell you any day, anytime. This sold for 279 euros, 46 cents. Guys, I'm not going to complain, all right? It's been a lot of work, but the idea is we are here to make money on this platform. And when things are selling, you really get to be motivated, doing the things that you love to do. Guys, I've been there before, and I can tell you that it's so demotivating when you try to list items and nobody's buying the items, and maybe people buy the items from nowhere, they want to send it back. It could be very, very demotivating. But when things are selling, you are, listing items, things are selling, you are seeing that, look, your effort is paying off. You have the motivation to want to do more. And that motivation I have today, because if things stays like this, I pretty much think that this July is going to be a record-breaking month, for this business. Of course, I've got a lot of stuff to still list. Hopefully, if I'm able to go to the post office early enough today, it's just 15:30 in the afternoon, I still can, go ahead and list some of these computers, because definitely what you want to do is to take advantage of this traffic that eBay is currently giving out right now. Nobody knows how long it's going to last, but the fact that things are pretty much open now, this is the best time for me to begin to, push my listings out, pushing as many things I can list, small items, headphones, adapters, cables, hard drives, I have a graphic cards. There are just a lot of things. If I decide to start listing today, there are just a lot of things that will keep me busy for a very, very long time. So guys, this platform that you think might be dead, I'm here to tell you today that, look, this is far from being dead. I wouldn't know how much this amounted to, but this is kind of easy to check. I'm just going to do the calculation and put it on the screen while editing the video. Guys, the platform is not dead. You might be feeling discouraged right now. You might be at a point of, giving up because, like I said, it's kind of demotivating when things don't sell. You do not get, real feedback from the work that you're putting in. But I want to tell you, judging from my own experience, keep doing the work, guys. Do not just give up for the fact that, you try to list something and from nowhere the thing didn't sell. And you are listening to a lot of, the gurus on YouTube telling you this is how you should do, this is what you should do. See, it's good to watch these videos, but then understand that at the end of the day, eBay is also a platform that has algorithms. Sometimes it could be experiencing some glitches, and in these times, it's just what it is. Says don't just go through. I wouldn't know why it is so, but from experience and some of the OGs that are here that have been selling on this platform for a long time can pretty much tell you that. It doesn't matter what kind of items you buy. It doesn't matter how cheap you even list the item. When things are not selling, they don't sell. But when things start to sell, you are going to be tired of going to the post office. This is exactly what I have been experiencing pretty much lately. See, please be encouraged. If things are not moving the direction that you expect them to move, be encouraged that knowing that, look, it's just a phase. It's going to go by. Keep doing the work that you're doing. Keep doing the good, work that the books have told us to do, which is get good items, make sure your prices are competitive, and just ensure that you're generally presenting your items in a way that if anybody gets to see your shop or see the items that you have listed, they will just be having a hard time to saying no to clicking the buy it now button. And this is exactly the game I have been playing, and it has been definitely playing off. Let me know what it has been with you guys. How has it been with your sales? Are you experiencing challenges, or are your sales pretty much going through? I would love to hear your comment. Go ahead and comment in the comment section below. Until I see you in the next one, peace out.